Yes, people. Like I said, if there was big news or if there was significant news, I would be right back at you today. Sometimes you think it's the international break and it's just going to be calm. There's not going to be too much going on. But Sir Jim and the Times had other ideas as Sir Jim Ratcliffe and INEOS essentially back Ruben Amorim for 3 years. He is going nowhere. They are not listening to the media. He is not getting sacked. And they believe in this manager, even though he hasn't had the best start. But they are having a 3-year plan and they are not looking to deviate from that plan. Big quotes coming in from Sir Jim regarding the 450 job cuts, regarding the Glazers and what they think of Sir Jim Ratcliffe being there. And we need to break this down. Let's get straight into this. The first one is about the manager. That's the one I want to start with because this is significant. Usually nothing really happens that big in the international break. And actually, with what Sir Jim has said this evening, or what's come out in this interview with the Times, or these comments to the Times, realistically has calmed everything down. And I don't mean in terms of we agree with it. I mean in terms of, oh, will they, won't they, surely by November, this, that and the other. Now, obviously, results change everything. If Ruben loses the next 4 games in a row, or next 5 games in a row, which I don't think is going to happen, by the way, but if that happened and it was catastrophic, people say things and it changes because of results. But the intent, the clear intention of Sir Jim Ratcliffe and INEOS is to be giving him at least 3 years. And he's not even 1 year in, he's just about coming up to 1 year in. Here is what Sir Jim had to say about Ruben Amorim, or on Ruben Amorim. He said, he's not had the best of seasons. Ruben needs to demonstrate he is a great coach over 3 years. That's where I would be. The press, sometimes I don't understand. They want overnight success. They think it's a light switch, you know. You flick a switch and it's all going to be roses tomorrow. You can't run a club like Manchester United on knee-jerk reactions to some journalists who go off on one every week. So to reiterate, Ruben needs to demonstrate he is a great coach over 3 years. And they keep talking about the press and the journalists who have been saying he should get sacked and the pressure and this, that and the other. They're saying we ain't buckling to that. He's saying we're not buckling to that. It's a 3-year plan. Ruben Amorim said when he got here, 2.5 years should be enough for you to see if I'm the right guy or not. And he retains the full backing. Not only is this backing up some of the reports that will claim that, you know, when the players are backing him and, you know, INEOS don't really want to sack him and stuff like that. This is from the horse's mouth. And he's pushing back. He's pushing back to the journalists saying, you know, just because they want him sacked every week, we're not listening to that. We're not doing knee-jerk reactions. Now, he hasn't spoken about the fans in that sort of pushback to the knee-jerk of people who might want him sacked. He hasn't spoken about, you know, the big, large number of fans that would want to see a managerial change. And this is why I've been saying over the last, you know, few weeks that it's like on various podcasts, less so here because we understand it, like Ruben's actually not going anywhere anytime soon. And I don't necessarily need to scream that from the rafters and keep campaigning for him to be sacked. I'm not that sort of fan. You lot know my views from what were Grimsby, and I know a lot of your views are the same. But there's a lot of you, though, to be fair, that this will be music to your ears. Half of our community, maybe less than half, I'm not sure about the exact numbers or percentage, half of our community and Man United fans around the world, or a lot of Man United fans, will want to hear that. They'll think that's the right decision. They will think that, guess what? That it's good to hear the leadership come out and back the manager and say, why are we trying to sack him? This is a 3-year plan. We are going to keep calm. We're going to keep our nerve. So what? If we lose some games and we have a tough start, which he has had, it's a 3-year thing. Me personally, I'm not surprised, but I don't agree with it. It hasn't changed my opinion, personally. I still don't think we're going anywhere anytime soon under Ruben. I can't see the positive signs. As of yet, I'm yet to see evidence of something to get behind. I'm yet to, whether it's definitely not results. It's obviously not results. We know the results ain't been good enough, so you can't make that argument. I've seen no results that are, you know, looking positive. And I've also seen no sort of like traits in the team or like patterns in the team or repetition in the team to suggest, oh, I like that. That's something that's good. So it's like we're on the right track there. Individually, against Sunderland in the one isolated positive game, we picked out some positives. You know, individually, we've been like Mbumo as an individual. He's done okay. He's looking all right. Sesko's off the mark. You know, Lomans looks like after one game he can go and be our number one. But you're scratching, you're picking at straws here. You're clutching at straws, as they say. You know, Ahmad, you know, okay, yeah, let's get him and Mbumo playing more regularly. But that's it. The system has failed. The results have failed. No player has improved as of yet. So, for me, I don't agree with what Sir Jim Ratcliffe's saying. I think you have to earn the 3 years. Again, but he's basically saying that he's just giving him 3 years no matter what, essentially. But I think we'll be naive to think that it'll be no matter what, because let's be honest, as soon as results get untenable, things change. Things change. But what is abundantly clear is that INEOS aren't planning to make this change and do not want to make this change. Now, for me personally, like I said, I don't agree with it because I think that we're not going anywhere with this manager. However, it does stop it does stop me from like not knowing where they stand and just thinking, when? Surely it's going to be now, or surely it's going to be after if we lose badly against Liverpool. It stops that for me. And I think for us, it should give us a clearer indication as to, you know, not being shocked at it. We cannot agree. So the people who think Ruben should leave, we cannot agree with it and think, they ain't got a clue. INEOS ain't got a clue. So you're happy with this. You know, what are you basing it on? But it also gives us clarity as to what they're thinking, you know. And like I said, for the people who want Ruben Amorim to stay, they see it. They can see that as a positive. Do you know what I mean? What Sir Jim Ratcliffe had to say, he said, asked about the criticism on 450 job cuts and the removal of perks such as subsidised staff lunches. He says the costs were just too high. There are some fantastic people at Manchester United, but there was also a level of mediocrity, and it had become bloated. I get a lot of flack for the free lunches, but no one's ever given me a free lunch. Big quotes. Big quotes. I repeat, the costs were just too high. There are some fantastic people at Man United, but there was also a level of mediocrity, and it had become bloated. I got a lot of flack for the free lunches, but no one's ever given me a free lunch. These are big quotes from Ruben Amorim, you know. From Sir Jim. Now, I think we should break that down properly. The costs were just too high. He's right. I don't disagree with him with that. You know, we had the biggest staff bill or the biggest staff numbers in the whole league. And there was probably people in situ. I'm not saying all of them. I'm not talking about free lunch. I'm not talking about, you know, not giving tickets to staff members to get to games and the 50 quid bonus at Christmas, sorry. But in terms of Man United being bloated and too many chefs in the kitchen and people probably nicking a living or getting away with doing not a lot, maybe, that happens. So they had to come in and have a look at what's going on and make changes. So that I'm not mad at. The free lunch thing, he's really batting back. That's return served, that is, isn't it? He's saying no one gave me a free lunch. And I think, look, in the world of work, when you break it down, if we're being 100% honest, it's not a God-given right to get free lunch. It's not. In any workplace, bro. Like, it's not. You could be working at Google. You could be working at Apple. You could be working at Nike, Coca-Cola, McDonald's. Like, these are the biggest, you know, some of the biggest companies in the world, right? Amazon. You don't necessarily get free lunch. I'm asking, you know, if there's anyone who works at Amazon here, do you get free lunch? When I was an electrician, I was doing work for Amazon, you know, putting in lights in new warehouses. I'm speaking off experience. This is Amazon. And obviously I was a contractor, so I'm not paid by Amazon. But I observed or was in the lunch rooms with a lot of the people who worked at Amazon doing the picking and the packing, etc., etc. And at lunchtime, bro, they would go in the lunchroom and take out their lunches and bring in their packed lunch. Or there was obviously like a canteen within the place where people would go and buy their lunch. They wasn't provided lunches. That's Amazon. So I don't think that, that's a multi-billion pound company like Man United is. And I don't think we should, just think that should be expected when there's over bloated in price, in costs, should I say. So I'm not, although it comes across quite stern, I don't think that's a disgrace. Let me know what you guys think about that. He's right in terms of, well, he can talk for himself in terms of he was never given a free lunch. That's fine. But I'll be real as well. Have I ever been given a free lunch in the jobs that I've worked in? Ask yourself, have you? Have you? When I was working in retail, when I was working for Foot Locker, big worldwide company, I didn't get free lunches. When I worked at JD Sports, I didn't get free lunches. When I worked at Next, I didn't get free lunches. That's not a God-given right. And like I say, even when you go higher than that, when I go into TalkSport in the big News UK building that has the Times in it and Virgin Radio in it and all these big companies, you don't get free lunch. You go to floor 14, which is where the that's the floor where all the food is and stuff, and the kitchens and that, and it's not free. Do you know what I mean? So, and I dare say, like I say, if you walked into Google headquarters or Spotify headquarters, Samsung I've been to, it's not free. So there might be days where they offer you things and you get some nice perks, or they offer you a spread or some drink, but it's not a God-given right that it's free. Some companies may, but it's not a God-given right. So I don't really see the outrage in that, if I'm honest. I do think the way they handled it and some of the cuts they made, I do question, versus some of the mistakes they made. I would more concentrate on that. They made big cuts to say we have to do this and we have to do that. However, we also have to look at it and say, you effed up, bro. You made all them changes. You made things worse and wasted some of our money as well. That's what I would say. This bit's interesting as well. So Jim Ratcliffe on what would happen if the Glazers told him to sack Ruben Amorim. He said it's not going to happen. And then he went into, he's not had the best. But he starts talking about being on the ground. That was it. So Jim Ratcliffe on if the Glazers were happy for him to take charge. He said that probably sums it up. We're local and they're the other side of the pond. That's a long way away to try and manage a football club as big, as complex as Manchester United. We're here with feet on the ground. So essentially, we know what the Glazers are on. They want to piss off to stay in America, and bring Sir Jim in to have to run everything and make all the decisions. We're not stupid. We already know the Glazers have pulled a blinder because they've showed a minority share of Man United and retained the majority, obviously. They still get to take their dividends, still get to take their money out and do what they want to do. Meanwhile, putting someone in the firing line when we're all talking about Amorim, we're all talking about transfers, we're all talking about INEOS. We're talking about the Glazers less and less. Now, we've not forgot the root cause. There's still, marches. There's still songs at every home game. Stand up if you hate the Glazers, and other ones that shouldn't really be repeated on here. But songs against the Glazers, they're still there. Every match going fan understands it. Every fan around the world understands it. That the Glazers are the biggest problem at the club. But the people in the direct firing line now is INEOS, because they're the one who make all the sporting decisions. It ain't Joel Glazer who thinks it's a good idea to go and sign Manuel Ugarte. I'm not saying INEOS signed him, but I'm just saying it ain't Joel Glazer who, thinks it's a good idea to put Bruno into midfield and buy 2 other 10s and, ain't got no midfielders. And it's nothing to do with the Glazers. It ain't. Let's have it right. That's INEOS, bro. That's Jason Wilcox. That's Omar Barada. That's Favel. That's Amorim. So that's not shocking news, is it, really? For them to say that yeah, of course they wanted us to come here so they can stay in America and we're on the ground and we can actually run the club on a day-to-day basis. Glazers are playing the blinder. No news flash there. Another bit of interesting news from Sammy Mockwell, of course, from the BBC, says Man United to appoint Brentford's chief operating officer, Amish Manek, as a new director of football operations. Manek will oversee the running of Carrington headquarters as well. So I think that's more to look at Carrington, it looks like. Let me just read that to make sure I'm getting everything right. Man United are appointing Brentford chief operating officer Amish Manek as director of football operations at Old Trafford. Staff at United and Brentford were informed of the news earlier on Wednesday. Manick will effectively run United's Carrington training ground, the base for the daily football operation, with responsibility for travel, security, training, facilities, and staff management and infrastructure. He's the latest leadership appointment by United CEO Omar Barada. Director of Football Jason Wilcox, who Manick will report into, is in charge of team performance, while Chief Business Officer Mark Armstrong is responsible for off-the-pitch growth. Manick joined the Bees in 2022, originally as a business operations director, before being promoted to Chief Operating Officer in July 24. He previously spent 5 years at Arsenal, where he became head of first team football operations. So this is more operations. This is not to do with recruitment. This is not to do with player contracts and stuff like that. This is to just do with, it's an important job, by the way, but this is to do with facilities, security, travel, and staff management, logistics, and daily football operations. So it's a big job. But it's more of a behind the scenes job. Security team. I know quite a few of the security team at Man United. They're really good guys, by the way. Really, really good guys, the security team. But he's going to oversee them. So this isn't, we won't belabor what's this new Manick guy saying from Brentford. It's nothing to do with that. This is football operations. But back to the main crux of it to finish off. Amorim's got 3 years. Do you know what I'm saying? I also do think that INEOS are basically telling me, as a fan, this is my interpretation, that you are happy to finish again like 15th, 13th, 14th, 10th and all that. That's what they're telling me, because they're saying we're not doing no knee-jerk reaction. So giving him his first full season in charge, as long as we don't get relegated, they're telling us that it's all right. We'll soon see when we don't get Europe again, how they're going to respond to that. And it's win one, lose one, win one, lose one, draw one, win one, lose one. And the win percentage stays where it's at, because I believe that's what's going to happen. So you've made your bed, INEOS. Let's see if you lie in it. Let me know what you guys are saying in the chat. Let me know how you feel about the news this evening and the big comments and quotes from Sir Jim Ratcliffe. Smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new people. I'm out of here. Peace.